Anthony, welcome to B-Box, man. How's your day going so far, man?
So far, so great. Weather's great.
Absolutely.
I can't complain. We got in Tuesday,
Okay.
and we're staying in the city, and just been enjoying Brooklyn all day today. It's
Nice.
great.
Yeah, and I gotta give a shout out to Peggy, man, where I got a chance to actually, we had a class early this morning today from 8 to 9, so it was an early one. She's a trooper, man, she's traveling back to them, man, so safe travel to you. So like I said, welcome to B-Box, man. So first, you were telling me that you had been to New York in 20 years.
Yeah, very long.
Tell us about that, man. That's like everything changed. Just in this neighborhood alone, I've been knowing them for about 15 years, and a lot have changed here. So tell us, not being in New York for 20 years. So what do you see actually which is have changed?
Oh, well, I would say that a lot has changed.
Okay.
20 years, your memory isn't that good, so I wish it was, but that was in the mid 90s. I stayed in Lower Manhattan.
Okay.
Just went out to Jersey for a night or two, and then came back. It was a really short stay.
Okay.
Had saw some sights. It was good. But I wish I would have saw more. But
I see.
Yeah, we're out here for a week, so we're gonna tackle as much.
Excellent, man. How's everything going so far? In the city, what have you guys seen so far? In the city that.
Yeah, well, we saw a lot. Not a big fan of the touristy stuff, though. So I hate to say it, but yeah, we're just hitting a lot of restaurants.
Okay.
Went to museums. And, a lot of art, a lot of food.
Okay. Sweet.
Now keeping it light,
I hear you.
There's just so much to do. So
a lot to do, man. You ain't been here in so long, man. So definitely a lot to see, a lot to do, man. But great to have you here in the city, man.
Thank you.
Somebody take you, back in Madison, man. So how is Madison right now? How is the weather out there? Is it similar to New York right now, or still?
Is it similar to New York?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No.
No. It's a little slower, but it's a college town. It's capital city. Milwaukee would be the biggest. Madison's the second biggest. So
yeah.
It's a good city. Honest to God, it's it's a great place to be raised. It's close to Chicago.
Yeah.
So we get down there as much as we can.
Okay.
But it's safe. There's
Sure.
a lot of parks.
Okay.
It's easy to get around. There's a great music scene, great
Nice.
food scene, good art. Yeah, love the city.
Cool, man. Somebody take you into your roots, man. In Madison, man. So tell us how everything started with you in Madison with the music, if I was to.
Yeah. So I graduated high school in '92.
Okay.
So I had a buddy who worked at this bar called the Cardinal, and he was in high school.
Okay.
I'm gonna give him a shout out, Jason Bentley out of Madison.
Yeah, totally. Yes.
But yeah, he's currently making some tracks, so we'll get to that later.
Nice.
But yeah, he was like, you gotta check this music out. We ended up going to nightly 18 and under nights, and that was the beginning of getting introduced to techno.
Okay.
And the Midwest rave scene was just beginning. There's a people out in Milwaukee called Drop Bass Network.
Okay.
If you're really into the Midwest rave scene, they are national. Everyone knows who Drop Bass is.
Okay.
And they were throwing lots of parties. Midwest was Minneapolis, Chicago, Milwaukee, and Madison.
Okay.
Those are the places to go. But yeah, we just fell in love with it. Couldn't get enough. Going to parties every single weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And I would like to know the kind of music that you grew up listening to at home. What kind of music would your parents expose you to? If you.
Yeah, that's not as diverse as some of my friends, but my mom loved 50s music. She was a big Beatles fan.
Okay.
So grew up listening to a lot of oldies and classical music. And then a lot of my friends going over to their houses, that's when I got introduced to R&B.
Okay.
And reggae.
Okay.
And soul.
Okay.
And I loved it.
Sweet. And so when you were in high school, can you tell us how was your music taste in those days, if you remember?
Yeah, my music taste was in high school. It was a little different. I was more interested in boom bap,
Okay.
late 80s, early 90s.
Why boom bap?
Yeah, well, that was what was popular, man.
Absolutely.
That was I think that was like the golden era of like hip hop.
Absolutely. But in Madison, I mean, that was also like, that was too big in New York, a bit near there, but you guys in the Midwest, like in the middle, like, so what was going there locally beside, like, the influence of New York and LA?
Oh, it was evident, I mean, people had favorites.
Okay.
People, I guess you could say people pick sides.
Yeah.
But, but I think all in all, everybody just loved the music that both coasts were putting out.
Yeah.
I also got into like skate punk music in like late elementary school, and that was like a huge influence on me.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I was a big skateboarder at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all great. Loved it all.
And did you play any instrument? Have you ever played an instrument?
No.
Have you?
No.
How was that?
No, I always wanted to play the violin, but never got around to it. I'd love to, but maybe I'll pick it up sometime.
I see. So if you were to describe like the scene, the music scene, like in Madison, where you grew up, like in those days, like how would you describe it to somebody who was not there?
It was young.
Okay.
Honestly, there was a lot of like younger under 21 clubs. There was this old one called Wally Gators that was off State Street downtown. That was years ago. That I would go there. That was kind of my introduction to like club.
Okay.
They played a wide variety of like what was popular at the time.
Okay.
And then some DJs would be like mixing records. You get to know them, and then you get more exposed to like more rarities, like things that just came out. Remixes and things like that. But I think more the rock scene, was pretty big.
Okay.
I think now Madison has a better music scene than it did back then.
Okay.
But then
And how is that? Because
I think there's more clubs.
Okay.
More clubs,
Mm-hmm.
more bars with stages that are just promoting. It's just getting bigger.
And it's also a college town, so kids always been coming from everywhere.
It does. Yeah. And then there was a place on King Street called Mass Appeal.
Okay.
You know who Adem is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Liqueur. And those guys.
Shout out to Liqueur,
yeah.
man. Shout out to Adem, man. Like, I need to bring him up here. I need to bring him up here.
Yeah. Those cats have roots in the Madison hip hop scene.
Okay.
Black Poets Society.
Yeah.
And then that was the early 90s. It was good time.
And as far as like, like you mentioned that you were also skating. Like, was there a scene in Madison, like people were skating like that time? Was there like or it was just very few?
No, there was a lot. Not as lot as some would like it, but there's a couple good skaters that came out of Madison that went pro.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrone Olson and Dave Mayhew.
Okay.
Shout out to them. But yeah, I mean, it's just a few, but like I said, it was just a really kind of like young time, and everything was just kind of starting to kind of take off.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't a lot of people, but it was awesome. It was a good time.
And if I was to ask you, like, as far as music is concerned, people that you would say I kind of like influence you, like, when you start listening to music, you're probably like, oh, I like this better, or I like him better, like,
Mm-hmm.
if you remember that.
What was the question again?
People who like influence you, like, music wise, like, as far as your music taste is concerned.
Yeah, I think my music taste tends to go in a really interesting direction. Like, I will find something I like, and I will just listen to it until I get tired of it. Right? Over and over and over and over, and then I move on. Right? So at that time, it wasn't like I was kind of collecting all these things and listening to them like in different days of the week or something. I was just going through these phases, right?
Mm-hmm.
Skater punk phase, rap phase,
Mm-hmm.
rock phase. And then like as you get older and you mature and your tastes develop and they kind of get refined, then you kind of pick and choose like what you like out of those.
Mm-hmm.
You start breaking things down, like songs. Why is it like this? And I don't think I would have changed it, the way that it kind of like morphed and evolved.
I feel like it was natural.
It was natural,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That was your unique journey. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. When I think what really happened was like during like when I got introduced to electronic music, for me that's like when everything exploded.
Okay.
I really got into gabber, which was like 160 BPMs on up, so really fast stuff coming out of like the Netherlands, Amsterdam, Germany, like hard techno.
Yeah.
And that was really popular at that time. Like a lot of acid lines in there. But then during the parties, that would be kind of like the main draw, right? That would amp up the party.
Okay.
And then after like the main, then you would hear like house music, you know, until the early morning hours, like 6, 7, 8 in the morning. And it was just like, it was awesome. So that it would just build up into this like, this peak and then kind of like taper off. And it was like just the perfect night.
Nice.
So I got to like experience like, oh, okay, this is electronic music, and like how, like under electronic music, you have all these genres to like fit a mood, and that's what really I like was drawn to.
I see. And as far as like, you know, I mean, you being not far from Chicago, in Madison, did you guys receive waves, like, you know, influences coming from Chicago?
Oh, totally. Yeah, there was a lot of like production companies, like I'll say productions companies, basically like a group of guys, group of kids at that time, and they were all friends with each other, you know. Some of them were competing for like, you know, parties and stuff like that, but for the most part, it was like a giant family network.
Nice.
It was crazy. And yeah, we were going to Chicago, Minneapolis, all over, St. Louis, you know, Columbus, Ohio, Detroit, and you know, it was fantastic.
I see.
Yeah. So everybody influenced everybody, and at that time you had like what was popular, you know, and yeah, it was awesome.
And if I was to ask you if, what age you would say that you start taking music seriously, like you start realizing I really like music a lot, like, you know, this is.
It was my friend Jason experiencing, like, taking me to that first night at the Cardinal, and I just walked away like, what the hell is this music? This is like the coolest stuff ever. I gotta get more of it, you know. And that's when we started like going to local record stores and trying to scoop up as much of this stuff as possible. Taking trips to Chicago, going to Gramophone Records, shout out to them, and yeah, just went from there. It was awesome.
See, do you remember the first concert that you went to? First concert that you went to, bigger concert that you.
Any kind of concert?
Yeah, in general.
Do you know that my first concert was a punk show at a local place? It was actually Mass Appeal on King Street.
Okay.
And that was in my early 20s.
Okay, nice.
I just never wanted to go. I guess I never really like wanted to go to like a Coliseum party or anything like that everyone went to.
Yeah.
It just didn't interest me. Probably for most reason because I was super shy.
Okay.
So I think that's why electronic music was just super interesting, and it was just weird at the time for like a lot what was popular in Madison, you know.
And you also mentioned about the rave scene in Madison back then, like, you know, so where would that come from?
What, the rave scene? I mean, it just kind of blew up. Like I said, like I would say drop bass lit the fire.
Okay.
That was a spark. Nick Nice is he's like one of the like founding music heads in Madison, right? He brought a lot when he lived in Paris, France. He would play the Queen a lot, and I remember him coming back and mixing all, you know, putting out all these tapes, and then he would bring these records back, play them at the Cardinal, and that was like just more interesting music was being introduced to the crowd, and like, hey, what is that? And then he actually had a record store for a while, and then was selling all these records. I mean, like I said, like kids are gonna find out where to get all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you just need someone to have all, you know, to provide it.
I see. So if I was to ask you about some of your first records that you got, if you have memories of that, like the first record that you got.
My first records were at, I think it was a compilation called Trance Beyond. and it was from 1992.
Nice.
And I still have that record.
Sweet.
And this is a compilation of like a lot of like European, like techno and ambient.
Mm-hmm.
It holds up this test of time. It's fantastic.
And so what attracted you to the record in those days? Like, you know, why was that interest to you, that call to the record?
I think it was an outlet, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're a teenager, you're moody, you're looking for something that you can connect to, because,
Okay.
you know, we're all not going to listen to our parents' music, right? I mean, let's be honest.
Right now.
Yeah, right. I mean, some of that stuff now is cool, but
Yeah.
back then, you know. So I think that was the attraction, is
Mm-hmm.
something new, exciting, and, you know, you could get a couple turntables.
Yeah.
Like a cheap mixer,
Mm-hmm.
instead of buying records and sitting in your, you know, basement or bedroom and just playing bedroom DJ for hours on end,
Yeah.
you know, and getting better at it, you know. That was, yeah, those are some really fun times, fun memories.
So, like, you know, when you actually start searching for records or buying records, like, you know, I mean, how do you dig? Like, you know, I mean, how was your
Sure. You know, I kind of approach it in two different ways. Like now, back then, just hit up a store,
Okay.
and you know, I'll have something in mind that I want to go to,
Okay.
and I'll start digging. And you know, whether it would be like old records with good vocals,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like some samples you can just like use and splice up.
Mm-hmm.
Old dusties, like old R&B, or you know, for the intro drums or something like that, or some horns. But for electronic music, I don't really look for labels. I know a lot of people are like loyal to certain labels.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's good, it's good.
Exactly.
I don't care where it is. Like, you know, that's the difference between me and some other person that really relies on that. So I'm kind of all over the place, to be honest. And you know, if I like it, I'll buy it.
Absolutely, like, you know, same here, man. Like, you know, most of the time there's like, you know, if music speaks to me, like, you know,
Mhm.
if it sounds good to my ears, well, like, you know, I'll buy it, and there's a big chance I'll play it.
If you put it on and you bob your head and you start moving, I'm buying it.
Absolutely. Like, you know, so that when you're digging there, like, you know, so how, like, you know, some certain store got a lot of records. So, like, you know, how do you, besides you just told us, like, you know, sometimes, like, you might be looking to certain sounds or
Mhm.
certain instruments, or, but, like, you know, these there, like, so let's say you hear digging on these, for example, like, you know, I mean, how do you pick certain song out of that? Is it by label only? Is it because,
I do follow some artists.
Okay.
At the time, and that all changes. I don't know, the way kids are making music these days on SoundCloud and Mixcloud, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
There's like so much coming out every
yeah.
single day,
Absolutely.
every week.
Yep.
So it's like, why follow a label? just put on, you know, just follow some of these kids, right?
Yeah, Bandcamp, all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, you
So
know,
it's
music,
like they're putting control. They're taking control,
Mhm.
and I like supporting that, right?
Mhm.
There's a local record store called Jiggy Jams. Shout out to Jeff K. He's awesome, super supportive of the scene out there.
Mhm.
And I love going to that store. You know, the people that work there, Andrew Pierce, DJ Hermit, he's great. Madison DJ scene right now is probably some of the best it's ever been.
Wow.
Hands down.
That's great to
Like,
hear, man.
and half of these kids are making beats and tracks, and it's really, they're so talented.
That's great
It's
to
so
hear.
cool. It's awesome.
That is really great to hear. So tell us about yourself, your experience as a DJ, like, you know, I mean, Madison, or even beyond. Like, you know, I mean, so what got you to want to share your music with other people? Now you're listening to it for yourself.
Because I think I've been like a bedroom DJ for too long.
You were like, I've been doing this for some time.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
gonna
been
get out
doing
of
this
it."
shit for a little too long, man. People need to start hearing this stuff now. You know, I have a pretty good record collection. You
Okay.
know, and you know, I just want to start doing it. And I think now with the kids these days, it's encouraging, you know, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, let's all get in on this. Let's share. Let's all have one big party.
Mhm.
You know, and everybody's been awesome, supportive. You know, we all support each other. It's great.
That's cool.
But yeah, I just love playing music for people. I love playing just all sorts of stuff. So.
And that's why you're here as well, like, you know, New York City, and you guys are listening to people. Actually, this is GBR, the best kept secret in the city, man. Today we have in the studio the one and only, man, Anthony of the Teasider, heading all the way from Madison, Wisconsin, man, and he's taking us for a journey into his music universe, man. Like, I would like to know, like, you know, so one of your best gigs, if you remember any, like, that you
I would say, like, just some of the more recent ones, you know, that I played with my friend Jason. He goes under Jason Bentley. And, you know, I've played countless nights. We would get together and just play for hours at his house, right? So we have a lot of the same musical tastes.
Okay.
So it kind of works off, but I would say some of those are the best, right? Just playing with your friends at like a small place. I don't care about playing like big events.
Yeah.
Personally, that just doesn't excite me, because I would rather play for 50 people who really get it,
yep,
rather than 2,000 people who have no clue
what's happening,
what's going on. So that's where I stand.
I totally can relate to that. I can totally hear you on that one. And as far you just mentioned about the scene, like in Madison, like, you know, being almost at its best right now, man. Like, you know, so how about the record collections, the record stores in Madison, and vinyl DJs in Madison, if I may ask?
What was that first?
Vinyl DJs in Madison, like, you know, how is it?
Vinyl is always king in Madison.
Like, that's good to hear.
It's like out here. I swear. It's like if you follow Jiggy Jams, they're out there. They do Twitch accounts, and there's always these sessions called Gravitate sessions that they always put out. All vinyl.
Sweet.
Yeah. So everybody's pretty serious about it. Everybody really respects those who bust their chops on vinyl first, rather than being that push button DJ. You know, I think vinyl gets way more respect, and I think that holds true everywhere, right?
Totally.
I mean, you got to really put your time in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You gotta. I mean, I don't notice anymore. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you.
So.
And I would like to know, so as far like, you know, your music is concerned, like, you know, so when you share your music, like, you know, how does that make you feel? Like, you know, when you share the music there, like, with people, what does that make you feel to you personally?
I love it because everybody's got like a little story behind their selection. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and what's nice is that there's so much music out there that story can change next week or the next day.
Yep.
You know, how you feeling? You feeling like, what's your mood? You can grab some music that you curated in your collection, and then you can share that mood. It's like you don't have to speak about how you feel. Like, the crowd can feel it, right?
Yep.
And also there's that kind of, you're feeding off of that, you know, so you got to kind of like tweak it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
If you need to.
Absolutely. I hear you there. So this dinner store that I'm actually playing today, I gotta say a big thank you to my boy DJ Jamie, all the way from Bordeaux. That's the wine region. He actually came to visit here in New York. He visited New York here like not too long ago with his sister, and actually before he left, he bought me that whole box set.
Wow.
So, like, you know what I mean? So I have not really, so this is my first time playing it.
I love it.
This is my first time. This was one of my first birthday gifts. Like, you know, and that's why all this record tells a story. They came from somewhere, some time, a special time, like, you know. So,
yeah.
You know, and the box set is amazing. For those who know, like, you know, every single there's like 10 45s in there, all different colors, all different
Love it. Yeah. I love that marbling.
Oh man, amazing. So Anthony, I would like to know, you've been making music, playing music for some time, and like, you know, so where do you see yourself going at this point with your music? Like, you know, I mean, what keeps you going? Of course, you got your record collection that you love to share your music. Where do you see yourself going at this point?
I would like to continue just kind of, you know, doing my thing, you know, sharing the music that I love with people, getting into making music.
Okay.
You know, that's the next step. It's a slow process. It's a little learning curve,
Mhm.
but you know, it's fun. Nothing to be released yet, but you know, still kind of tinkering and
I
you know,
hear
gears are turning. So,
I see.
but yeah, like I don't expect to like get too much out of it, but like I said, it's just something I absolutely love to do
Mhm.
and love to share. And
gonna keep
I got
doing
my
it.
teeth in going, like that's a full-time gig. So
Absolutely.
you know, I mean, I only got so much time in the day, Z.
Absolutely, and that's why we gotta jump to the next one, man. Like, you know, so you are also a tea expert, man. Like, you know what I mean? So let us know, man.
You're so flattering. Yeah, let me get a load of this guy.
I have been at a Teasider. Used to be the matcha tea company, now the Teasider. Like, there's all kinds of tea in there. All kinds of teas, man. I brought some myself to New York, man. Like, you know, and I taste them, like, they taste different. You can tell, like, this is tea to the next level. Like, you know, so we got to talk about it, man. Like, you know, so tell us where that passion, that love for tea actually came from. Like, you know.
Young age. My mom, we always had like Lipton and Earl Grey tea bags, you know, that
Okay.
like really kind of crappy stuff. But it was great. Like I grew up in a coffee household.
Okay.
Everybody had the Folgers and that red can, but I just drank the tea and it was great. I fell in love with it, you know.
Okay.
And then in my 20s, funny thing is I actually had a friend who was living out here in the city,
Okay.
working for Jean-Michel Casabat, who's
Okay.
a shoe designer.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to him. I still have a pair of one of his one-of-a-kinds.
Actually,
at home.
I got some
Love
Casbah
them.
myself. Yes,
Baby
same.
goat skin. It's so good.
I think I mine actually. The one I have is actually a collab with Reebok.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I love them. I barely
I
wear
hardly
them.
wear them.
Same, I barely wear them as well.
But yeah, her friend was one of the daughter of a gentleman who owned Numi Tea Company.
Okay.
You see him in the stores and stuff like that. But once she was shipping them back, and I started kind of tasting them, like, oh, you know, this is just like a lot better than the tea bags. that
Yeah.
you're getting. and I got it, you know.
Mhm.
And then it kind of started, you know, snowballing from there. You know,
Mhm.
you're just seeking out more stuff. It's like records, right?
Yeah.
You just want more and more, and
Yeah.
and that's how it happened, you know. Fast forward, how I met my wife is she was running an art gallery, and man, funny thing is, my friend Jason that I was talking about earlier introduced us, and then we ended up talking about jack jams and like some weird weddings that, you know, that I attended. I used to bartend in a place in northern Wisconsin. I was having some fun talking about how they always played Jack Jam's tunes at these weddings.
Yeah.
And it was just horrible. And yeah, so yeah, we met and then kind of went from there. And I think a year later,
Mhm.
we just opened up a tea house there.
Wow.
And it was in an actual house, so all the rooms were kind of themed out.
Mhm.
It was 2 floors, and then it was kind of like basically art and tea, you know. And that was for 6-7 years
Okay.
till 2014.
So actually, like the most people actually, like people tend to believe that the majority of people actually kind of like tend to drink coffee or more than tea,
Mm-hmm.
or vice versa. I'm not sure. Like, you know what I mean? So why a tea house, and especially in Madison, Wisconsin? Just because of you love it? Or?
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe because we were just kind of.
There was nobody doing it?
There was nobody doing it, you know. Honestly, like Rachel went to a few places in the country. She has such a good eye for things that are kind of on the horizon. So,
Okay.
and I was in the middle of actually switching careers, so
Mm-hmm.
we decided to give it a shot. You know, you see a need, you feel a need.
I see. Absolutely.
So, and you know, Madison it's a coffee culture in this country. So, yeah, we did it. We made a lot of mistakes, learned a lot of things along the way, and that's the only way to do it.
And that was actually what takes me to my next question there, which was like, you know, the early days, like, you know, the first time, like, you know, you started a tea business, like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
in Madison, like, how was that? How was the...
It was It was
some
interesting.
of the challenges?
It was interesting because you're constantly educating, and you're constantly changing perceptions to kind of fit the business that you kind of want to go in, like the direction of the business. And we're kind of still doing that today, but the younger generation now, I'm gonna tell you what, they don't drink a lot of alcohol, at least the ones that we come in contact with.
Nice.
Not as much as 10, 20 years ago, but, and I don't know how it is in New York, it might be a little bit different, but
I mean, New Yorkers, they get it in.
Yeah.
They're stressed.
I mean, we are in Wisconsin, so we
it's laid back.
Yeah, we can throw them back quite a bit. No, it's great. A lot of these kids are like healthier. They're getting into tea, and I think there's a new revival in it.
That's great.
And it's awesome. I mean, we definitely got our foot in the game, and we love doing what we do. And yeah,
that's awesome, man. So tell us, how was the whole COVID experience like? With your tea business, and how did that affect you or not? How did you came out of it?
It was scary. It was scary for a lot of people, but we had an online presence, so we just kind of slightly shifted.
Okay.
And that kept us afloat. And it was great, just shipping things out, trying to keep up online, social media and things like that. And then once things kind of like settled down, we opened back up. We knew we had to, because we have a lot of people that come in. It's great. It's good to see their faces again at that time. But it was scary. But what was nice is that we did have a lot more free time.
That's great. Absolutely. Yeah. And so you also got more creative eventually.
Yeah.
Like new product,
Yeah, and that kind of comes with a little bit less. When you don't have to work as much, you can relax.
Yeah.
That's when the creativity starts coming.
Absolutely. Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. I do all the blending.
So tell us about that process, the blending of what's the it might seem natural to you, but for some of us, we have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, it's kind of like cooking.
Tell us the cook.
Yeah. I used to. Well, I not grew up, but I was working in kitchen since I was 16 years old.
Okay.
So I was always like either busboy, cook, dishwasher, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And we cook a lot still to this day. It's a lot like that, right? If you're starting to cook a dish, right, you want to start with what do you want it to taste like, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you have these base materials, these top notes, middle notes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you might want to add some beautiful stuff on there to make it look nice,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But not necessarily gives it flavor.
Absolutely.
It's a lot like that. It's a lot like that.
Yeah.
And there were some really horrible blends that I made that they ended up clearly in the garbage, but it's good. I would say it takes about a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks for me to get something solid.
Sweet.
Yeah, we also do a lot of specialty drinks, concentrates. Yeah, I would say our chai is actually the best in the nation.
Absolutely. Oh, man. New York City, you heard it, man. I like that. That's confidence.
Oh, I'm gonna say it. I am.
That is confidence. Absolutely. You gotta say it.
Yeah.
You gotta say it.
Teasider.com.
People can say people can feel it when you mean it.
I'm serious.
Absolutely. I've been there. I've tried some of the tea, and believe me, if you ever go to Madison, Wisconsin, do not miss stopping out at Teasider, man. And you can also order stuff online, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can definitely get some of this stuff online, man. Amazing taste that you guys, stuff that you guys have there. And as far as the tea is concerned, tell us about some of the benefits of drinking tea, even on a regular basis.
Oh, it's great. High in antioxidants.
Yes.
As far as the caffeine, I think that when I drink tea, the caffeine comes on gentler and it kind of exits a lot more gentler.
Okay.
So I don't get that crash, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when you're drinking coffee, it's boom, and then you get that crash.
Yeah.
And then you're just chasing the dragon, right?
Yeah.
But tea gives you all that energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just smoother. You
yeah.
get more, all this flavor. But yeah, lots of minerals, lots of vitamins, especially some of those fresh Japanese greens, out of the springtime. I love my Taiwanese oolongs, pu'er. Yeah, I think just drinking good quality tea,
Exactly. That's
things
what
that
it's
are on the supermarket shelves,
It's different,
you don't know how
yeah.
long they've been sitting there in those tea bags. Honestly, some of that stuff tastes like dust, right? And I can't even, don't get me started.
No, absolutely. I hear you. I hear you, and I hear you clear. And
Yeah.
loud and clear. Really
It's
clear,
good
right?
when you
Yeah.
open it up and toss it in your garden, you know? Yeah.
And yeah, still, man, I hope you guys having a good time with us here, man, on B-Box, man. GB are the best kept secret in the city. Still here in the studio with one and only, man, like, you know, Anthony of the Teasider, heading from Madison, Wisconsin, man, like, you know. So I would love to know, like, you know, as far like your business is, how are you received in Madison? How do people, like, you know, welcome your business in Madison? Like, you know, how?
We have a good support group. I mean, we
Nice.
have a fantastic customer base.
Mhm.
You know, Rachel and I kind of giggle a little bit because you ever watch that show Cheers? It might be a little older.
Not a big TV.
Okay,
fan,
that's
yeah.
okay. It
Yeah.
was the show years ago, and it's
Okay.
kind of like, it's like the same cast, the same customers come in all the time. They got their special seat.
Uh-huh.
You know them by name. You know everything about them.
You know what they're gonna order?
And you know what they're gonna order, and you see them almost every day or every other day, and they become family.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
exactly like that.
That's great.
And
Nice.
It's overwhelming, and like the gratitude, and just like we're so thankful for these people.
That's great to hear.
You
But I
know.
also remember, like, you know, being out at Teasider, man, you guys do not only make teas, you also make other sides, like, you know, like little cakes and stuff like that. Tell us about us.
Yeah, we do. I'm laughing because Rachel's kind of looking at me, wondering what I'm gonna say about this, because we kind of pulled back on that.
Okay.
So maybe I should have said something earlier. But
You
yeah,
speak freely. You speak freely,
no,
like, you know.
no, once in a while.
And if you don't want to talk about it, it's okay.
No, it's all good. She is super talented in that department.
Great.
We do want people, if they're interested in those, and I'm talking locally, to look out for bakery boxes. And
Okay.
that's what we refer to them to.
Mhm.
And that's like probably once a month or every other month or something like that. But
Okay.
we used to do them every day, and yeah, it got a little too much, to be honest, because we want to like focus more on the tea.
Yeah.
We want to dedicate our time more to things that are important to the business.
I see.
Yeah.
So now, if you were to relate your music to the tea, like, you know what I mean, how do you combine those, like, you know what I mean, for a special ingredient? Like, you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, that's a good question. That is really good. That is damn. Peggy told me you were gonna ask some really good questions. Listen to this guy. You know, I wish I could put that in words, but I know how I feel.
That's great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just can't. But you know, it all depends on what you're gonna make, right?
course.
It all depends on the mood. Like
Mhm.
when you cook something and you're happy, it's gonna taste delicious, right?
Absolutely.
If you cook something and you're all pissed off, it's gonna taste like shit.
Absolutely. I really do.
That's my answer. Yeah.
It can't be better answered than that. Absolutely, man. Like, you know, loving it, man. Having a great time, man. Anthony, man, like, I want to sit over here and talk to you for the entire show, but we also know that, like, you know, we actually brought this controller here from home just for you to be able to come over here and bless you with your music. But first, I would love to know, like, you know, as far, like, you know, your music is concerned, you play your music for years, still doing, like, you know, what did you learn about you doing it? Like, you know, what did you learn about you, like, you know, playing your music, sharing it with people that you have to learn something about yourself doing that.
You just learn to like trust your judgment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trust your intuition. Like I said, I was terribly shy for a long time, and that was a big hurdle to get over.
Yeah.
And you know, you kind of have this internal dialogue, like, oh, you know, I love this music, but like, are people going to like it? You know, and is it going to be something that they're going to like coming out again to hear it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that, you know, that's still kind of my journey, and I think everybody has some degree of that, but you know, it's, I don't know, you know, it's an ongoing one.
I see.
you know.
Yes, sir.
But yeah,
And what about the tea side? Like, you know what I mean? So where do you see the tea? Where do you see yourself going with your teas? And how far do you see yourself going? Like, you know, do you see a chain? Like, you know, do you see tea
no,
side?
we don't want chain. I honestly think like you know, scaling up, quality always goes down.
Absolutely.
That's business 101, right?
That's
and
a fact.
we are not into that, and we are all about maintaining consistency and quality.
Yeah.
And if we can do that with like another place, maybe in Brooklyn, I don't know, you want to be a partner?
Yeah.
You heard it, people. No, we're happy doing what we're doing, but like I said, every business is in constant change, and you have to change to kind of keep up with the times.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, then you're done.
But it's also it's just about just you adapting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Adaptation, that's a survival.
And that's kind of like in a translates into music too. You don't like the same stuff or do the same things you did like 2 years ago, right?
Nope.
Everything is in constant
evolution. Yeah,
Absolutely.
change.
So, I think those two really go together like that, tea art, music, especially in our lives, so it's awesome. And then maybe incorporating like tea and then things like this at the Teasider, I remember you and Liqueur had a couple, after shows at the Teasider.
Yeah, and a great time, yeah.
Peggy with her dance shows, so. Yeah, those are good, but more on a scale of like just showcasing local talent.
Absolutely, man. That's amazing, man. Like I said, once again, I would love to sit here and talk to you for the entire show, but we do want to hear your music, man. Like, but first, I'm going to have you drop your Instagram, like, your social media, like, website and all that, so people can keep up with you. So wherever want to order teas, people want to, like...
Visit teasider.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. You can go to our website. We ship all over. And if you're in Madison, hit us up.
Go
Thursday to
lovely
Sunday.
Lovely location.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, home of the original tea bar. So.
Absolutely, man. New York City, man. You guys, B-Box, man. GV are the best kept secret in the city, man. Like, thank you so much for being here, Anthony, man. Like,
thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us, man. I'm about to drop one track, man, and then you're gonna come over here and do what you do. I want you to be like, give us at least a little 40 minutes, man. That should be a good set right there, man.
Absolutely.
Man. You gotta bless yourself, man. We are taking it to the wheels, man. Let's get it.
So this is open Thursday to Sunday?
Yeah, Thursday to Sunday.
And the 3 other days you are doing something